I've got Clubhouse on, I've got Twitter on, you on, and YouTube. So eventually I'm shuffling everything over to YouTube and just fan base because I only have these two arms. So let's see. We're almost ready to start. All right. So let us begin. Being quiet versus doing quiet. They're two separate things, you know. Like when some people say, well, we have to meditate. You go and you sit and you find that your mind is wandering and you can't stop it, and everything is just, all these thoughts are running through your mind. That's doing quiet. That is doing quiet. When you're having to force yourself to sit there. But being quiet is something that is within you already. You could walk anywhere. You could be having a conversation with anybody and you are quiet. Not because your mouth is closed, but because within you is still. It's peaceful. Remember the analogy I gave you a while ago about the ecstatic child jumping in the puddle of water. And it gets all muddy, yeah? It gets muddy. But if you stop moving, the mud and particulates will sink to the bottom of the puddle. And what happens? You can see yourself. You can see your reflection in that clear pool of water. This is why it is important to understand the difference between being and doing. I'm doing something right now. I'm speaking to you. Right? But on the inside, what's going on the inside? If you pay attention, sometimes we get distracted. We're doing this, we're doing that, we're touching this, we're touching that. But on the inside, there's so much going on. That is where we put our attention. And when you put your attention there, here is how you can accomplish being instead of doing all the time. You practice the art when you are going to sit still or if you're going to go for a walk. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing it? Right? Is it just something to do? Is it just something, oh, I have to, I must? Or when you go out on that walk, not only do the sounds of the city diminish into the background, but you hear your footsteps. You understand? You hear the chirping of the birds. You can feel the breeze as it floats right over you, as it ruffles your jacket. That is being. You are fully immersed, not just on the outside, because we're walking around, that's where you're immersed, but on the inside, everything is still. How do you get there? What do you need to do? Practice. Practice reducing the distractions. Does that make sense? Practice reducing the distractions that are going on, whether they are around you or within you. Meaning, you're standing there and you're cooking your dinner. And you're thinking, oh, I hope everybody likes it. Or, oh, don't burn that. You're doing cooking. But if you know that recipe, you know the taste, you know the smell of the herbs, and you're not in a hurry, you're not thinking about who's going to like it or not going to like it. You are immersed in what you are doing. The textures, the feel of the blade as it passes through the onions. You are fully immersed, but the mind is clear because it only has one singular focus, and that's the activity you're doing. It allows you. This is why we get confused between being and doing, because they look the same. One is an activity, and the other is a state of mind. This is why sometimes we can do rich, meaning you can go out and buy things. But being rich is an attitude. Being confident is an attitude. That's why you do it until you become it. Does that make sense? And this is the practice portion. This is why sometimes when we are learning, that's when we're doing, because we're learning. This is why, if you understand a habit, you will understand what you are being. A habit is your way of doing something, but it is your way of being that thing. If that doesn't make sense, you let me know, and we'll open it up some more. This is why we practice on a daily basis, because we are always becoming. But becoming what? What is your purpose? What is your goal? I had to remind myself last night when I said to my son, okay, do the dishes before you go to bed. There's like 3 things. I said, just do them before you go. Oh, I'll get to it, Mom. And I said, do them now. He says, no, Mom, I'll do them when I'm done. And I started to argue. And then this little voice in the back of my head said, really? You're going to argue? Then we decided we're not arguing anymore. I had to breathe real deep, let me tell you, because I've become so used to arguing. That was my state of being. So now, as I'm being gently reminded to breathe and relax, cause and effect will take its course. That is what helped me to not argue, which was, like I said, my natural state of being because I've done it so long. So what is it? What is it that you are doing or trying to force yourself to do? Examine that, because that is the difference between being and doing. And the more you become, the easier it is to do things, because you do them. Neville Goddard always said, you assume the state, you catch the mood, is how he described it. Right? That's how he described it. But it is a state of being that he lived from. Right? If you've ever taken Kung Fu or watched any Kung Fu movie, you will find that they practiced and they practiced and they practiced a particular move over and over and over again. Do it, do it, do it until you become that movement. You don't have to think about it anymore, because you've become it. You see, it is the practice. And that's where we get caught up because sometimes, oh, I'm too tired. I don't feel like it. I don't want to do it today. That is the surest way in delaying one's self from becoming. You don't become the best surgeon by not practicing, by not looking at the pattern, by not allowing yourself to feel what you're doing or to understand what you're doing. You become the best by, okay, doing. This is why they're not the same. One leads you to the other. Can't become unless you do. Right? This is why I tell you there aren't any days off. There aren't any days off. Yes? As you become, there aren't any days off. You do it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? This is the question. And some of us don't even know where to begin. And that's a great place to be at, in all honesty. If you don't know where to begin, take a moment and just sit there. You don't have to rush to figure it out. Remember, rush the brush and you wasted the paint. Take your time. Take your time. And you ask yourself, what do I want to do here? What do I want to achieve? What do I want to accomplish? When you can answer that question, the next question emerges, okay, what's my first step? This is why it is helpful to know what you do not want, because it's glaringly obvious. When you begin to see what you don't want, now you can say, oh, snap. Okay. So this is what I want instead. And what do? You begin to do it. And the more you do it, you will become it. Sound familiar? Like a habit, yes? That's why we choose very wisely what it is we want to become. Because when you make that decision, then you have to do it. I trust this is making sense. Right? I trust that this is making sense. So that's what we do. We do it until we become it. Even though it may seem a challenge. It's okay. It is totally okay that it feels like a challenge. Of course it is, because you've never done it before. How can it not challenge you? It must. Because then you get to know who you are. You look at that situation and you say, oh, snap, I can do this. This is what we do over and over and over again. If you are, quote unquote, unorganized, you get out your pen and paper and you ask yourself, what do you want to do today? What do you want to do? And you write it down. That's what you do. This is how you begin to organize yourself. Right? That's how you begin to organize yourself. One step at a time. As opposed to throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Oh, I can't. I'm just overwhelmed. No, start with the small pieces. We call it a to-do list. That serves a function for some of us who are so sporadic in our thoughts, or we're so random in them. It helps to bring you to a focus. And this is what you want to do. You want to bring yourself to a focus, a singular focus, because that's what will help you to accomplish having a singular focus. It's called a laser, right? It has a singular focus, a focal point, right? That's why they call it laser like focus, you see. So the encouragement for us today is this: can you recognize the difference between being and doing? You know, when you tell your children, be quiet, you want them to hush, right? You want them to hush. But you see what they do? Their mouths may be closed, but they're not sitting still. They're still doing something because they haven't practiced sitting there and being still, right? So today, let's not just do quiet. Let us be quiet. That quiet, that silence within, that peace. It doesn't mean that you don't have thoughts, because you can't stop the mind from thinking. That is its job. But what you can do is give it a singular thought. Just one singular thought. Give it that activity to do. And that will allow you, think about this, because then you'll begin to see it a little better. You know, when you are watching an athlete, they're the best ones to watch because you can see the mind and the body as one thing, right? They may be running down the track, but they're being the stride. Hmm? Does that make sense? Because think about it. If you, or even a bodybuilder, a weightlifter, CrossFit athlete, if they are doing a heavy lifting technique, you think their mind is, what's for supper? No. They've become one with the object they're lifting because they must. This is how one prevents injury. So you see, when you're doing something like that, the mind can't be everywhere. It has to be in one place so that you can be the thing that you're doing. You know, when they tell you, oh, they visualize themselves running that race, they're being. Because clearly they're just sitting. They're not running, they're just imagining it in their minds. They're being it. So all of these analogies are here today to help us understand the difference between being and doing. I saw a meme the other day, and they were talking about what men think about when they're, well, you know, and it's intriguing, all the thoughts that go through the mind when you're doing something. The key is this: whatever you are doing, fully immerse yourself within that thing. Become it. Become the touch. Become it. What does that person's skin feel like under your palm? That's what we do. They call it being in the now, being in the moment. Hear it? Being in the now and being in the moment. This is why sometimes when we are having a conversation, we are listening to respond, because all those thoughts are going through your head. How am I going to say this? How am I going to say that? As opposed to being fully immersed in what that person is saying to you. That's why multitasking can be the devil. In some cases, yes, because it distracts the focus and you're pulled in many directions. I trust that that makes sense to each and every one of us today. Oh, ooh. This is what I mean by being an octopus. Ah, I see you all. Right? This is the key. Today, as you go through your day, what are you being? What are you being and what are you doing? Those two things should match. Heart Math Institute tells you it's called heart brain coherence. It is the law of correspondence. As within, so without. So what you be and what you do should match. This is how integrity is developed. So you see, pay attention to what you are doing on a daily basis. And you check yourself. Am I being what I'm doing? Right? This is how we, because we like to say that word a lot, don't we? Become accountable. Only you can hold yourself accountable. The law will help you to do this every single day because it will remind you what is within you is what you will experience. As within, so without, as above, so below. Correspondence. And so when you practice that and you apply it diligently, you will begin to notice a change within yourself. You will find that not only are you calmer, not only do you now become quick in your responses, in your thoughts, rapid fire, you'll begin to notice these things about yourself. You don't fall into the trap of, I got time today. You won't do that because you'll ask, am I being what I'm doing? This is what we'll do. And nobody will make you learn it faster than your children. Now, if you don't have kids or grandkids, the people outside that you encounter will teach it to you because it's you. Right? This is what we do. We practice the art of becoming. You must. This is why when we're in TCM school, traditional Chinese medicine, and you're feeling the pulse, you have to feel, I don't even know how many pulses you have to feel to actually understand what one type of pulse feels like, so that every time you feel it, you know what it is. And if you get really good, you can look at a person and know what pulse they've got. Each pulse, you feel the carotid, you feel the radial artery, and that's what they think pulse is because you can feel it, but it has a characteristic depending on that person and their habitual way of living. Their pulse will reflect that to you. You just have to know what you're feeling underneath. But you've actually got to feel them. And so that's what makes you become the best at feeling the pulse and recognizing it and knowing what type of person you're looking at sometimes before you even touch them. That is the difference. But to bridge the gap between the two, practice is required. Right? So as you go through your day to day, take pleasure in the fact that you get to practice. You get to do it. That is a privilege. Because think about the other stuff you used to practice that wasn't very helpful, but harmful to you. Right? And now that's what will bring you that joy to know, I get to practice. I don't have to be the old way anymore. That's it. You don't have to be the old anymore. You don't have to be stuck. You are now free. Well, then, what does free feel like? Begin to practice that freedom. If you don't know what freedom feels like, take a moment and ask yourself, what would it feel like if I were free of whatever that thing is you want to be free of? That's what that's one of Neville Goddard's techniques. What would it be like? The reason you're asking yourself that question is because the self always answers. Right? So, fully immerse yourself in what you are doing and become it. This is the encouragement today. Let's take a moment and acknowledge everybody who's here. Twitter. Ah, 3, welcome. Ah, Luel. I, you're gonna have to tell me how to say your name, but welcome also. Ruru, I got my glasses on, I can't see. Ruru is here. Shea butter. Luke. Meep, you're here too on Twitter. Welcome and thank you for being here. I've already closed Clubhouse because I've posted a note for them to come over onto YouTube. Um, Now I got to put my glasses on to see the computer screen for YouTube. Empress Ella is here, and they are more people, but they haven't told me who they are. So I can't say hello to you by name, but hello to everyone who's here. Fanbase L, My Melanin, Miss McQueen, Tiffany. Does that mean Javion is here too? Yay! Bishop, I see you. Coach, Summer Rose. Casey, I see you. Shanice, Krisha, Anita, Lance, and Beautiful. I see you all. Welcome to the space this lovely, lovely Monday morning. Isn't it glorious? I'm glad that you're all here. Let me. Hello, my darling.
Hi. I just wanted to tell you how to pronounce my name. It's Lou.
Lou,
Yes.
thank you. I was waiting for that because I could only muck it up. I could only muck it up for so long, right?
You're right. Thank you, though. I appreciate you asking.
No worries. Thank you for telling me. Now, there. This is. Mm, does that make sense to everyone today? The difference between and how to recognize the difference between knowing, what you're doing and what you're being. I trust that that makes sense to you so that when you go about your day, you can ask yourself, because being and doing have to match, or else we are in contradiction of who? Yourself. And a divided mind, well, we all know how that ends. A house divided against itself cannot stand, right? This is why the being and the doing have to match. That's why. Take your time with it. Remember the saying, rush the brush and you waste the paint. Remember the saying and take your time. We're not in a hurry to get anywhere because you already know what the finish line is, right? So why rush to get there? Take your time. Take your time. So that is what I will leave you with today. Um, Let me say, remember, January 27th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the workshop, the Q&A. If you have a question, you want to change your life, DM me that question. Mm. DM the question and we'll discuss it. I won't call your name when we do the live on the 27th, but I'll give you step 1, step 2, step 3, and then it is up to you. to practice. Because it is a burr in your saddle, whatever that thing is, and you don't want to have to deal with it anymore. You want to change? Well, we'll apply the law so that we can be successful in that change. Because there's nothing worse than opening up my DMs and having somebody say to me, "Oh my God, Angela, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to try anymore." That? No, because that's not where people want to live from. And I see it all the time, especially on Reddit. They don't want to live that way anymore. So remember the good news. You don't have to live that way. You get to become a new way. That's the beauty of it. So that's that workshop. For subscribers, you're good to go. It's complimentary for you. For non subscribers, it is simply $9 to attend. That's it. But we're going to change. We are going to change because we want to. We're tired of being where we're at. So let us apply the law. That's why I tell you, memorize it so that you can recognize it. And from that recognition, you will be able to apply it. Because that's what it's all about in the end. Applying what one knows. It doesn't apply itself. Right? And remember, there aren't any days off. There's no, well, today was productive. I'll take a break. What? Next thing you know, it's been a weekend. You haven't been productive. Because it is always easier to fall back into the original rut or habit that we have. This is why it is much more beneficial to make a new habit as opposed to fighting the old one. But that's another day. Yeah, that's all I'll tell you today. And I look forward to getting your DMs so that we can be all that we can be, isn't it? We've heard that one before, haven't we? Be all you can be. Notice how it didn't say do all you can do? There's a reason for that. There's a reason. Because we are meant to be. That's why we're called beings, not doings, right? But I digress. So, are there any questions or a quick comment before we all go and start our day? Ah, see, that's always the best part. It means you're mulling it over and you're thinking about it. And if you go about the day today and you have a question that just pops in to your mind and you want some clarification on it, send me a DM. You know where to find me. Right? And so, because I don't want to be an octopus anymore, I'm going to funnel everything through YouTube live streaming and Fanbase, these two platforms, because I just have my computer and my iPad, because then I have to use my two hands to hold the other two phones. And I'm like, oh, that's tiresome for me. So I thought, you know what, just do it one place. YouTube live stream. So if you haven't subscribed to me on YouTube, it's Positively Angela. That's my handle. So that you'll get the notifications. Turn on the little bell and you'll get the notifications. Oh, and this is Monday. So Mondays, we do Bible stories on Lance Scurv. That's his YouTube handle, right? Every Monday, that's where I'm at. We do a Bible story and we get the law, right? Because we think for some reason, you say scripture, you clutch your pearls. No, the law permeates every single holy book. Well, that's where they got the inspiration from to write their books. Yes, the law. So every Bible story, we look at it through the eyes of the law. That's what we do so that we can apply it to our lives, right? So that's where I'll be tonight. Ooh, what time? 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I usually will send out a link, right, so that people can catch that live stream because it's let me tell you, it's always bumping. The questions are amazing, and the sense of humor in the group is awesome. It's great. What are we talking about today? Um, Moses and Aaron. Keep your hands up. That's the whole point of that one, that Bible story when they were fighting. So, you want to hear how to do that in your life, how to keep your own hands up? You should come out and hear that one. It's always a good time. So, I will leave you with this. What you are being must match what you are doing. It is the law of correspondence, as within, so without. And it is the privilege of practice to align the two things. That is where the magic happens. When you no longer have resistance, or when you no longer contradict yourself. Yes? So I leave you with that. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Much love, everybody. Fan base, you guys are awesome. Twitter, I'm looking at you guys, and you're still here too. So is YouTube, actually. You're all still here. And you know what? I don't have any complaints. I already have my day scheduled out, so I know what I'm doing today. Right? I know I'm keeping myself on track, don't worry. But it is always such a privilege to be on here with all of you. And that's why I get up and I do it. Hi, sweetie. What are you going to tell me? What are you going to tell me, Lou?
I was just going to say thank you. I was out on the run while listening. So, just want to say thank you. I feel like partially thank you just because you do help every day. And partially because the discussion today, I think helped me with my run. As far as like exercise goes, I realized it was a spot for me. So, although it might sound silly, I'm thinking, don't do the run, be the run.
Yes. That's it. That's exactly it. Be it. You're welcome, Lou. Anytime. Now that I know how to say your name. I love it. Um, but yeah, that's the beauty of what we've been given, right? So don't sit on it anymore. Right? Don't sit on it anymore. Use it. Use it to propel yourself forward. Because if you look around you in the world today, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, right? Remember, we're in this world, but because we know the law, we're no longer of it, which means we don't get bogged down. We move through the world differently. That right there. Move through the world differently based upon the law. And you, like I said, I'm not sitting here to tell you you won't experience any problems in the world. That's not what I'm saying. We all get them. We all have issues that we have to deal with on a daily basis. But because you practice the law, instead of it being a 10 out of 10 for, oh my God, life crushing, it now becomes a 3. Oh, that's the point. Whew, I'm sweating. Y'all got me fired up. Yeah? So, oh, Draco, hello. Innocence, hello. You're new to the space, I think? Oh, no, I just haven't said your names in a bit. Welcome back to the space. So, there. Twitter, you guys can catch the replay. And fan base, y'all can catch the replay on YouTube or Twitter. I love it. So, Krisha, hi. But that's what I'll leave you with today. Remember,
Hi, Angela.
how you doing, sweet girl?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. So remember as you go through your day today, the being and the doing have to match. And if they don't match, check yourself. How are you going to check yourself? The action on the outside, does it match the thought on the inside? Ah. And in order to get the action to change on the outside, change the thought on the inside. Why? Because the universe is a mental creation. It always starts with a thought. Cause and effect. The thought is the cause. So, let me leave you with that and feed this young rapscallion.
How dare you?
How dare I not feed my baby?
I'm not a rapscallion.
You're not a
How dare
rapscallion.
you? How dare you? Heresy upon you. I love you.
I love you too, sweet bread. These little youngins. Anyway, I love you and I appreciate every single one of you, and I thank you for being here today. Feel free to share this info. You can share the YouTube live stream. You can share the Twitter fan base. You can tell your friends. You can share it too. And so I will see you tonight for the Bible story. Lance Scurv. Or you can, if you follow me on Twitter, I'll post a link there so you can get to that live stream if you don't already subscribe to him. Um, but that's where I'll be tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, that's it. And with that, my beautiful friends, I leave you. Much love, everybody. Much love. Shea Butter, it's always good to see you, baby. Always good to see you. Yes, much love, Twitter. Twitter is closed. Fanbase. Fanbase is still here. Yes, Krisha?
Yeah, we here.
Yeah, I know you're here, but you guys gotta go. Now, you don't gotta go home.
To go?
Yes, because you gotta start practicing, right? So we gotta go. But I love you guys, and parting truly is such sweet sorrow. KZ, I see you. I see you. Um,
Have a beautiful day.
you as well, my darling. You as well. So there. Fanbase, you are now closed. Fanbase is closed. And YouTube, you are the final one left. I will see you later. Empress Ella, thank you. Barbara, thank you for being here. And Empress Ella, thank you for coming over on Clubhouse. So I'm not going to open Clubhouse. If I open Clubhouse again tomorrow, I'll do the same message. Right? But yes. And so for the others who are in the space with Empress Ella and Sonia, welcome, my beautiful. Now, hopefully, you caught it all. If not, the replay is available. And as I said, I'll be on with Lance tonight, but I'll post a link for that as well. And there's 6 people in the space. And Sonia, Empress Ella, and Barbara, thank you all for being here. And the other 3, thank you for being here. And catch the replay. And I will see you later. Much love, everybody. Yes, you know what, Sonia, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm happy that you're here too. You know, so make sure what you are being and what you are doing match, because they must. It is law, as within, so without, or else you're being contradictory to yourself. And that's never a good place to be, right? To contradict oneself. The law doesn't contradict itself, so you shouldn't either. I shouldn't either. We're all learning this together, right? I trust that that makes sense. I trust that it does. Ah, Barbara, it is good. It is also my pleasure. It's a privilege as well. So that I will leave you with some hearts and kisses. And hopefully, I will see you guys at the workshop on January 27th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Uh, yeah, I have it posted in my community link. I'll post it some more so people can get it. Oh, look, see, now there's 7. Tell me who you are so I can call your name. Right? And that is the whole purpose of these live streams that I do every morning, Monday through Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm on here to do them. I used to do them on other platforms, but now I'm just funneling everything over to YouTube, because then it's just one pair of hands I get to use instead of being an octopus with many devices. Aw, I love you too, Sonia. And this is the truth of it. The law is there to guide you. It is a light in dark places. Without the law to guide us, we become what you see around us and hear on the news. Every great civilization has fallen because they forget the law. But the more of us who remember the laws, remember what they are? The all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. As within, so without. As above, so below. Correspondence. Vibration. Everything vibrates. Polarity between two poles. They're not opposite, you know. They're not opposite. It's just that one's on the left and one's on the right. Love and hate are the same. It is just varying degrees of vibration that separate the two. This is why you can go from hate to dislike. The vibration has changed to strong dislike. Or you can go to strong like, boom, you're at love. It is all the same. It just swings between two poles, right? And that swing between two poles creates a rhythm, an ebb and a flow. So however far you go to the left is how far you have to come back to the right, because it compensates. Yes, rhythm always compensates. And after rhythm, we have causation. Every cause has an effect, and every effect has its cause. Gender, a projection, which is masculine, of the will, giving life, giving form, feminine. Right? We learned that in traditional Chinese medicine school. The left side of the body is for movement, it is masculine. The right side is for nourishment, it is feminine. The left side of the brain is masculine. That's where you generate your thought and project it from. And where do you project it to? The right side, which is feminine. It accepts. We call it the subconscious mind. Those are the laws or the principles of creation. And we use them every single day. How do you know you use them every day? You think every day, for one. Right? You think every single day. And everything moves. Scientists are now telling you that the box you're looking at, the table you're looking at, it's not solid. Oh, you can't put your hand through it, you know, because the vibrations are different. Right? Polarity? Oh, we experience polarity every single day. Watch the news. Look at the polarity between the Democrats and the Republicans. Oh, that's what polarity means. One person is far left and the other is far right. But what we do not understand is that they are but the same. Republican and Democrat are the same. It is just the vibration between the two of them that seems to separate them. That's why left and right are but the same. Same bird. Left wing, right wing. Of what? The same bird. You see. You see polarity everywhere. You also see rhythm everywhere. The tide, the lunar cycle. A rhythm, yes? And we see gender everywhere because thoughts are being projected towards us on a daily basis. And sometimes we accept those thoughts blindly, right? So every day we live, we see and experience the law. And it is the practice that helps us to become one with the law. Because spirit and matter are the same, they just vibrate differently. Spirit vibrates considerably faster. Matter, on the other hand, vibrates considerably slower. And this is why if you raise the vibration of yourself, you get closer to spirit. Huh. You see? This is the beauty of what we have been given. Let us use it. Well, how do you use it, Angela? Well, come to the workshop and DM your question, and I'll teach you how to use it. But I teach you how to use it every day. If you're feeling lonely on the inside, well, then you must experience lonesomeness on the outside because you cannot contradict the self. As within, so without. It is law, is it not? So you see. So you see. How do you go from lonely on the inside? Well, you got to tell yourself the truth. You can't lie to yourself, can you? No, you can't. Because it'll tell you, lies you tell. That's what it'll tell you. Why are you feeling lonely? That is the question. It's not that you are lonely, it's that you feel lonely. Why do you feel that way? Talk yourself through it. Why do you feel that way? And I'll tell you, when you feel lonely, you're using your emotions. Emotions tell you, is it hot? Is it cold? Is it wet? Is it dry? It tells you something. That's what emotions do, right? But sometimes we use our emotions incorrectly. We use them to live by. Hmm, really? Yes. We use them to live by. And that is not always a wise thing. Because depending, you get up today and you're angry, oh, you're like a rhinoceros stomping through. That's not a way to live. So you examine the situation, you say, must I be angry? Why should I be? It disrupts your peace. There's a time and a place. Ecclesiastes. There's a time and a place for everything under the sun. Right? So practice. How can you do differently with the anger, Sonia? Is that what you're asking, darling? How can you do differently? Or are you asking how you do differently by not living via emotion? Well, if you said, look, I want to be healthier, right? I'll give you an example so it should make sense. You say, I want to be healthier. So you get a gym membership. January, according to statistics, is the highest time for gym memberships because everybody wants a New Year's resolution, yes? But you get up on Tuesday morning and you're like, oh, my body hurts. I don't feel like going to the gym. And so you talk yourself out of going to the gym. But what is your goal? What is your purpose? Your purpose is to be healthy. So, in order to have a healthy body, in spite of feeling I don't want to, my body hurts everywhere, get up and go. That is how you do it differently. That's what I mean when I say you don't use your emotions to live by. You use emotions to gauge if you are in contradiction to yourself or not. You said, I want to be healthy. So you get up and you go to the gym in spite of how you might feel today. Oh, my body is stiff. And you'll start to notice something. You start to make wise food choices. Huh? Yes, you will. It happens naturally. So when you don't feel like doing something, oh, I gotta do these dishes. But you said, I don't want to have a cluttered space anymore. I don't want mess anymore. But because you don't feel like doing the dishes, you let them pile up. And then all of a sudden, you are overwhelmed with the amount of dishes in the sink. This is why you do things when they are easy, meaning one moment at a time. Does that answer the question? When you don't live by way of the emotions, your emotions are a feedback mechanism. Your senses, they're telling you what your rate of vibration is according to law. You notice sometimes it is always hardest to just start, but once you start, you build the momentum and you can continue. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. You get up and you do, in spite of what that feels like. Now, there's a difference between intuition. Intuition is that still small voice within. It is you, actually. And it will say to you, careful. That's a warning. And that's what you follow. And again, it is not emotion either, is it? It is a clear directive on something that must be done. Right? So, when we practice the law, as within, so without, what are you feeling on the inside? If you don't know what you feel on the inside, take a look at what you're experiencing on the outside, because that will tell you what's going on within. But you see, Mrs. Sonia, we only become emotional beings because that is what we've practiced. You don't ignore the emotion, you examine it and you ask, is this a contradiction? As within, so without. Is this what I want to be? Because the emotion, living by way of emotion, cause and effect. If you act accordingly to the emotion, you know cause and effect will happen, right? Because if the emotion is frustration or anger or rage, and you act according to that, well, you can predict exactly what you're going to experience. This is why we examine the emotions instead of just following them blindly. But that's what we were taught to do, isn't it? We were taught to do that for a reason. I'm not going to go into that reason, but we were taught to do that for a reason. But if we practice using the emotion, so when you get up in the morning, Mrs. Sonia, you get to decide, because I tell people you choose your emotions. Oh, you can choose them. Why? Cause and effect. Every effect, the emotion is going to be the effect. You understand? So, what do you want to experience? Then choose the appropriate cause that matches what you want to experience. If you say, you know what, I want to go through today with peace, well, then, peace, start to develop that on the inside. Meaning you're telling yourself, you know what, I'm learning a new way to be. I'm learning how to be more peaceful. Let me be peaceful at every opportunity. And you start to tell yourself that. Because what you're doing now, the thoughts now will come to you and they will be much more peaceful. And when you encounter something that is disruptive to that peace, you are faced with a choice. Because you said you want to live more peacefully, you want to have a peaceful day. That's what you said. So then that within, when you encounter something that disrupts the peace on the outside, you look at it and you go, okay, there's a way of handling this situation and still remain peaceful. Because the peace on the inside has to match the experience on the outside. So if somebody's ruffling your feathers, right? Mm. If somebody comes along and ruffles your feathers, you remind yourself, wait, whoa, 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 I decided I was going to be peaceful today. You know what? Yes, I'm going to be peaceful today. And then when you make that decision, you will be given a response to the situation going on the outside. But you'll notice that however you respond will confirm your peace on the inside, which means you're not going to argue with someone. You see? Um, you've allowed thoughts of what others have arisen to affect you. Well, and that's the thing, because you're busy looking on the outside, right? You're busy, and here's the kicker, Sonia. You see those thoughts that you've allowed from people, as within, so without. Sometimes that person on the outside of you is showing you who you are on the inside. It's not there to ruffle your feathers. It's there to ask you, is this what you would like? Do you see yourself? Do you like what you see? Do you want to continue? Right? But what do? We fight against it. We argue with it instead of examining it. So the next time you encounter someone who's being a little bit, well, persnickety, right? When you encounter that, stop yourself and say, oh, am I arguing with myself on the inside? Is that why I'm encountering this? Ah. So instead of allowing the thing on the outside, the thing on the outside is your reflection in the mirror. You ever seen a cat who looks in the mirror and thinks there's another cat? That's what we do with the emotions that we encounter. So somebody, quote unquote, pisses you off. You're the cat in the mirror trying to fight yourself. This is why you remind yourself, oh, snap, okay, I get it. Let me diffuse this argument I'm having in my mind right now. And so you stop arguing with yourself. And the image of the other cat goes away because there's nothing to argue against. Does that make sense? That's what I'm saying, right? As a man thinketh, therefore he is. Alan Watts. You are right, Barbara. So that's why the thinking and so the being and the doing have to match. You say you're peaceful on the inside, well, then that peace will show up on the outside. As within, so without. It is law. Right? So that's let me tell you something. I have to remind myself of this every day. That's why I tell you, when you got small kids, well, he's not small, he's a young man. He's 13. And I say to the dishes, he's like, Mom, stop arguing. And I'm like, whoo. Exactly. Because what did I say? I said, no, I'm done arguing. I'm not going to argue anymore. But you see, the old way of living, because it's still pretty strong, will come along and say, really? You're not going to argue today? Oh. Then I have to remind myself, because I sit there and I go, okay, look, I told this child to do those dishes a long time ago. The dishes are still in the sink. That's the conversation I'm having with myself. Am I going to have to take that PlayStation away? Am I going to have to do this? Am I going to have to punish? That's the argument I'm having in my head. So now when I see his face, I got to argue with him. But if I remind myself, you know what? The dishes will get done, won't they? They'll get done. And I won't have to fight at all. But the dishes will get done. Cause and effect has a funny way of showing itself. And so as I do that, I begin to feel more peaceful within myself. And then I argue less. Why? Because I said I'm peaceful as opposed to arguing. As within, so without. It is law. Make sense? That's all it is. It is just practice. It is simply practice. Right? I trust that that makes sense. Now, I don't want to keep you longer. He made a PB&J sandwich for himself. So I'm like, yay, he bought me some time. Right? But that's the beauty of what we have. So don't beat yourself up. Think about that for a minute. You start being a Catholic, self-flagellation, you're beating yourself up here, you're whipping yourself. Oh man, I'm sucking at this. I can't. What are you doing? You're arguing with yourself. And what happens when you argue with yourself? You have to argue with somebody else. So don't beat yourself up. Remind yourself, I'm learning a new way to be. It gets easier the more I practice. That is how you speak to yourself now, and you'll begin to notice the change. But stick with it. Don't not argue with yourself for 2 days, and then on the third day, we having an all-out brawl with ourselves. Remind yourself, I am learning a new way to be. So you have to do the new way until you become the new way. Because we're always becoming. That is your word for the day. I love you. You guys are absolutely amazing. You stayed this whole time. You stayed this whole time. You know, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But you see, it's too early for me to be on camera. Ain't nobody got time for that foolishness. I'm not combing my hair. I also don't want to look a hot mess on camera, so I just keep my bonnet on and turn off the camera, right? But I love you, each and every one of you. So Miss Sonia, Barbara, Empress Ella, oh, I love you all. And for the others who did not make themselves known, I love you as well. So feel free to share this live stream with others. And remember to come out to the workshop. Send your DMs with your questions, with that thing you want to change. And we will apply the law, all 7, because you can't separate them, yes? Fancy that. There's 7 people in the space. 1 law for each of you. You can't separate the laws. Even if you remember, cause and effect. You will have to think differently to create the different effect. So you can't separate the laws because every thought is a cause, and every thought and cause has its own vibration. So whatever thought you choose, you are influencing your vibration, your aura, because the vibration is light. Okay, yeah? There's a class I taught on that for vibration and understanding it. I'll be teaching another one coming up soon, another principle, another law, so that we can master them and master ourselves. Yes, this is all it is, my beautiful friends. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, gender. The 7 Hermetic principles. And with that, I leave you today. Much love, everybody. Much love. If you have questions, if you go into the About Me section on YouTube, you'll see all the platforms that I'm on, and you can DM me from any of those platforms. Yeah? All right. Much love, everybody. Much love.